what the hell is going on? I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Brenda, how are you? Good to see you. Nancy, Jane, how are you? You sincerely hope I'm doing well. I got a little chest pain. There's nothing to complain about. Alicia Johnson, how are you? Hey, the Linzer Show. West Coast Fancy Nancy, it's an honor to have you here. Wonder Woman, how are you? Debbie Gonzalez, good to see you. Linda Garden Lady, the Cheap Chick. Mineola Girl, I'm glad that you're here. You know what? This is going to be a barn burner because I'm going to blow your mind today. Sassy Noof, how are you? Cinder Ann, and then I want to hear what you guys have to think. Skeeter, good to see you. Hey, Kim. Barbara Waite, John, thank you. Not a show. I thought it said not a show for a second. Hello, how are you? I've never said hi to you, I don't think, and that's embarrassing. I'm sorry. Tom Conroy, North Carolina. Sam Lamb, how are you? Ori Shorts, good to see you. Aspire to Inspire. Hey, Trace, how are you? Linda Garden Lady, keep on keeping on. Happy to be here. You know what? DS Kitty Diane, look at that, right out the gate. You gotta love a little love. Thank you so much. It does keep free speech alive. The Real Peppermint Patty, how are you? Buffy, good to see you. Megan Roberts, Debbie Gonzalez. You know what? People sent me some PayPals today to say they're really sorry for what's happening to me and this and that. People, I knew what was going to happen to me. Buffy, I'm glad that you are here. Megan Roberts is here. K-Space, how are you? I knew what was going to happen when I did that show last night. I was completely cool with it. I'm not dumb. I understand ex-Scientologists and I understand YouTube. Dusty Soda Fountain, how are you? Jennifer Minton, I'm honored. Caroline in Canada, good to have you. Wouldn't be a show without you. Here's the deal. This is going to be a hell of a show. Hello, Lady O. And for those that really bum out that I say hi to people, start a YouTube channel and don't get attached to the people that support you. And there's probably something wrong with your soul. I promise you I'll do all kinds of content, but I'm saying hi to the people that stand by me. Linda, how are you? Hey, Kim. Well, thank you. I feel fine. I'll be really honest with you. I feel fine. When I breathe in really deep, I get a pain in my chest, but I've been told exactly what it is. And knowledge is power. I mean, no matter how you shake it. But I assure you, for all of the people that are concerned about my mental well-being, I spent the day on the beach. I don't watch hate when it's made about me. I don't watch hate when it's made about other people. I didn't watch Linzer's video that went up on the Aaron Smith-Levin show. I don't watch hate. I never will. I did for a long time, and it almost killed me. Now I do not. Donna, how are you? Sassy Noof, look at this. Buffy, looking good in green. Sassy Noof, here's the thing. I'm not going to stop defending women, even if they're not nice to me, because I don't think it's cool for guys to go after him the way that he's doing. Dusty Soda Fountain. I probably already said that, but I dig the name. Trace, I hope I said hi. Sam Lamb. All right. You know what? I think we've probably done it. If you get here late, well, that's what you get for being here late. I'm probably not going to be able to say hi to everybody. Well, here's the thing. He'll keep making videos like that, I assure you. I'll give you a great example of why. He's live right now, and he has 260 people in his live chat. He has 260 people in his live chat with 250,000 subscribers, plus 1,000. Hey, Debbie Gonzalez, he's live right now, and we're going to close in on him, and we'll probably pass him, and we're going to do that with 32,000 subs because I don't talk about hate. What I did last night was not hate. Roberta, how are you? Good to see you. No, we're going to talk about true crime today. That's what I talk about, right? I thought what was done to Lindsay was a crime. Helen Baker, good to see you. I'm going to stand up every time I think it is. You want to go after me? If he and I ever have it out, it's not going to be like this. He's tough as hell from behind a keyboard, and he's a Scientologist. I told you this would happen yesterday. Somebody said, what do you think his next video is? I said, oh, it'll be mine. He'll call me a rapist. Marissa Robertson, I'm glad that you are here. All right, let's talk about this. We're going to go in two directions. Let's start with, so we're talking about why this case hasn't been solved. Let's be honest, it's been going on a really, really long time. You know what? I dig this. Sharon, thank you. I can't even bring myself to hate watch anymore. My time is too valuable. Well, would you look at that? And what does the guy say? Crap the bed or some shit like that. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. Barbara Waite, honor every time you're here. Hello, Britt. Thank you for the kind words earlier. I really appreciate that. Lisa Palmer, good to see you. I'm pretty damn content. I spent the day on the beach. I wore that big hat so that I wouldn't get sunburned, but it was difficult to get on and do live chat stuff, and comment because my fingers were covered in sand. So I was doing the voice to text thing. And I'll tell you what, it never works for me. Maybe it's because I talk way too fast. I got that kind of, Northeast New York thing going on, but it never understands me. And it writes the most ridiculous things. I know most of you who see me in chats go, he's not very bright, because it just comes out really nasty. It never comes out the way that I want it to. Voice to text sucks. Maybe someday it will get great. A long time ago, Tennessee girl, good to see you. Somebody bought me a voice to text setup, because on a regular basis, someone will say to me, you should write a book. Brock Bandy, it's an honor. Kim is blue. Good to have you here. Jersey gal. And I said, I'm not bright enough to write a book. I sit down and I start writing, and I'm just not kind of built that way, right? I'm not. And, I wish I was. I'm a guy that can talk. And so somebody bought me this thing, and I'm talking about, 700 years ago. It was when this kind of technology was first coming out. And it worked so poorly that I sat down at the beginning, and I'm not reading the screen. The guy said to me, all you got to do is talk. And I got on there and talked the first chapter, and then I read it and went, what the hell is this? Cindy G, good to see you. Is Reese good? Yes. And I can't really get into what's going on in my wife's life because she'll tell you about it. Susan Carter, good to see you. But right now she is with a friend or two, and they're spending time together. And I think that's awesome. I love that my wife takes time for self-care. I think that that's a beautiful thing. Mary Krause, how are you? Noelle Anastasia, good to see you. When you're in the middle of people going after you, it's hard to back off, right? It really is. It's hard to back off. And I love that Reese can take a little time and do things that are going to help her mentally. Good Lord, people. We're closing in on ASL. Mrs. Snooperella, how are you? With 32,000 subs, he's definitely doing damage, isn't he? I picked up 53 subs earlier. I'm going to lose people. I know I'm going to lose people. And I knew I was going to lose people before I made that video. Just Joan, good to see you. Sheila Wainwright, thank you very much for your kindness. You have never offended me. I think you should probably know that. Never once since I have met you have you ever offended me. Don't ever think something silly like that ever again. You look fantastic in green. You really do. Royce, you know what? You're in the right place, man. Hello, Heather. How are you? You're in the right place because this is going to be what we're talking about today. Why is this cold? So I usually come at this from the criminal side of things because it makes more sense to me. Say what you will. Kind of one of those things. As you well know, my uncle is John Gotti. I can't back that up, man, but I so much love saying it, I can't explain it. He's not. But I did spend a little time around criminals. So I usually come at this from the criminal standpoint. We all know what happened with the guy on the porch. We saw tons of good black and white shots, right? Stills. Why did we not see more? Well, we're going to get into that because I promise you I'm going to cover why this went on. Alicia, very kind. You know what? I feel loved. I promise you, people, don't shed a tear. I really, I'm pretty happy with who I am, where I am, and how things are. So, but here's the deal. The guy on the porch, everyone said, didn't look like a pro, right? And I don't believe that he is. And by that, I mean, I don't believe he's a professional kidnapper. He's a criminal. He walked up to that door without fear. And as a guy that broke a lot of laws, there's nothing more frightening than walking up to a house that you don't know what's going on inside. Vicky Hurley, how are you? It's why I never did that kind of crime. It's terrifying. I've talked about this before. I've been inside houses that you're not supposed to be in. I broke that law on more than one occasion. There's nothing more terrifying than being inside a house that you don't want to be in. That guy was calm as hell. You may have thought what he did with the camera, going up and checking it to see if maybe you could, it was loose or whatever. It really, really ended up being very odd. Linda, how are you? After that, he grabbed some foliage. He looked like to me like he was trying to break that thing off. That's why there was foliage jammed behind it. He wasn't trying to cover it with foliage, but he was very calm, right? He was very, very calm. And that to me shows that this guy's a criminal to be sure. But picture this for a sec. Let's say either you're hired to do this or you do it on your own. But the idea is you're going to go and snatch an 84-year-old woman for a really quick payday. And you get there and sue him? Yeah, I got no desire to sue anybody. I hope he keeps that video up, man. I told you exactly who he was, and what he did is going to prove it. He's done 3 days in a row of hate content, and he seemed to really affect someone on the first day, right? Maybe even scared her, I don't know. And on the second day, what he did was so reprehensible. Patty Jonas, Wee Sparrow, good to see you. What he did the second day was so reprehensible. By day 3, I'm not surprised, and he'll keep going. So he is. Look, let's just check real quick, and then I promise we're going to do true crime. Hell no, don't do that. You'll get me demonetized. There's nothing worse than an ad that won't turn off. What the deuce? He has 244 people in his chat. We have 294 in ours. He has 256,000 subscribers. I got 32,159. I don't think he's winning. Deanna, how are you? So they went in there and they snatched this woman. And in the process of doing that, they found out that an 84-year-old woman with a pacemaker, a bad heart, and a ton of medication, including pain pills, wasn't going to survive that kidnapping. And they killed her. This was supposed to just be a snatch and grab. You were going to go in and grab this woman. You were going to get paid within a couple of days. There was going to be millions of dollars to split up. It's all on Bitcoin. It's easy stuff, right? And now all of a sudden, you just killed somebody. They're going to do everything they can to disappear. Now, that to me is one of the reasons this hasn't been solved. And if you go, I don't get it. They found some DNA inside the house. That DNA can't be unraveled yet. Sheriff Nanos told us could take a month, 4 months, maybe a year. Well, that's realistic. I'm sorry. True crime is not as much fun when they don't solve it quickly. But look at the Rex Heuermann case. Look how long we waited for the Gilgo Beach serial killer to be caught. I guess the good news is that whoever did this isn't kidnapping more people. In the Gilgo Beach case, they continued to go after women one after the other. I still think it was a wackadoo predator. Well, it's not a bad theory. It really is not a bad theory. Nanos was also really pissed off that we blamed the family for this. Nanos, that's your fault. That's your fault. The communication in this case has been nothing less than pathetic. It really has. I'll give you a couple of examples. We all know the ones from the beginning, but I don't know if you know this one. Do you know that in July, the FBI came out and they made a statement. And the statement basically said that, the Pima County Sheriff's Office is still sort of in command of this. And then the Pima County Sheriffs came out and said the exact opposite. In the beginning, everybody wanted to be in the front of this. They thought they were going to solve it. And Nanos wanted to take a victory lap in that Corvette C80 he's got, right, waving to the crowd. And the FBI, they wanted it too. Because the FBI came out, they're not blameless in this. The FBI came out and recently made a statement that said we were locked out for the first 4 days. Now, maybe everybody else has short-term memory loss, right? But this heroin addict, right, recovered heroin addict doesn't. And way back in February, on the 4th day of this thing or the 3rd day of this thing, they had a press conference and the freaking FBI was standing next to him when he did the press conference. Now, maybe they didn't get the green light to come in and take over, right? But I promise you they were there. It's stupid to say that it isn't. And what's happening is a shitstorm of one agency blaming the other and another agency blaming them. And in the beginning, they all wanted to say, this is our case. This is our case. Now no one wants to touch it with a 25-foot pole because they're not solving it, right? Now, don't believe for a second that we know everything going on. Kathy Brown, good to see you. Don't believe for a second we know everything that's going on because we don't. Kohlberger taught us that. How many different places taught us this? For real. There are so many different cases that we've watched where they said, we got nothing here. It's a great case and it's coming up on the 21st. We're going to get to see all the evidence, all of the evidence. A really good hearing is coming up on the 21st of July for DeForvid and the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. How long did we sit there going, they got nothing? Debbie, loving life. Good to see you. Debbie, you missed the most beautiful day today. Tommy, I loved your video last night. Keep fighting the good fight and speaking how you like. Jason and I love you. What a kind thing to say. What a kind thing to say. There's a quote I'm fond of. For evil to triumph, good men need to only do nothing. And I would have felt not like a good man if I didn't say what he did was reprehensible. And I pointed out that this guy can't get views if he doesn't step up and do hate, because nobody, and I mean nobody, in his little orbit gives a shit about anything but. He has 272 people in his chat right now. We have 307. I said last night he can't get views unless he does hate. I guess we're proving it, right? Because the rapist that he outed today has more people in his live chat than he does. So I don't know. I'm not too concerned about the guy. I'm really not. And I anticipated losing hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 subs when he came out and did his shit. I don't care. You know what I mean? I was well willing to do that. I've lost a lot more than that. I do a good show. I talk about things that people like to watch. I'm a true crime guy, and not for nothing, I don't suck at it. I'm not saying I'm the best out there, but I don't suck at it. So I'm not too concerned about any of that. I will continue to make the content I make. What I did yesterday, I did that because it had to be done. We have two groups of people that have screwed this case up from Jump Street. We've got the Pima County Sheriffs and we've got the FBI, and they have butchered this. Now, again, I'm not saying that they don't have some kind of a setup, right, where there's a lot more information that we're not knowing about. I would assume that they're chasing down a bunch of leads. And very often, we wait until the end. But I brought up the Gilgo Beach case for a reason. Do you know why that one went unsolved for so long? Because the Gilgo Beach cop that was on did not want the FBI involved. He didn't want any information handed over to the FBI. And we already know that both of these parties were keeping information from each other. We already know that in this case, in the Nancy Guthrie case, the same thing that was happening in Gilgo Beach, maybe not to the same extent, but the same thing was happening. And you got people, hey, Angie Mo, you got people that want the spotlight. And unfortunately, they're not doing anything to earn the spotlight. I mean, the head of the FBI came out. Who? I'm not sure which who you mean. Pima County has screwed up a ton. And in the first 48 hours, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You're a true crime audience. But the first 48 hours are key. And we know some stuff from the first 48 hours, right? We know that the crime scene was released after 30 hours. Bad juju, right? Here's how it happened. On the second day of this, they sent over the first ransom letter. And the first ransom letter said, we want $4 million. If you wait too long and you don't pay us by then, it's going to go up to 6. And there was certainly some threats about what would happen to her if they didn't pay, because that's standard operating procedure. We don't know everything that was in there because they just gave us what they thought was pertinent. They got one 2 days later, right? They got one 4 days after that. Interestingly enough, the FBI believed the first one. They believed it because the person said the security lights in the back are broken. And her watch, her Apple Watch, was on the floor of the bedroom. Now, the FBI thought this is information that somebody that had been in that house would know. What I would say is this. Anybody that walked by that scene and they released it, right? We saw Brian Enton walk up to the front door. How do we know people weren't looking in every single window in that place? How do we know that this isn't a leak? But whatever it is, they took it seriously and they engineered a response. But the people that kidnapped never responded back, which is odd. Maybe she was already dead and they were trying to figure out what to do. But 4 days later, they got another letter. And this letter was written by the same person that did the first one. They know that because they had attached a wallet, a Bitcoin wallet, so that they could get paid. The Bitcoin wallet was the same address. That is as unique as a thumbprint. It's an impossibility that it couldn't be the same person. And they said, she's dead. She's with nature, right? And it wasn't necessarily an apology, but it was they didn't ask for anything. They didn't want any money. And this audience is sharp as shit because when that happened, Savannah Guthrie went live with her sister and brother, and they all looked like they were passing a kidney stone. And probably the reason is because they knew that their mother, according to that letter, was dead. And that's hard, right? That had to be a very hard thing for this family. So, but at that point, everybody in this audience, legalize freedom. Good to see you, man. Everybody in this audience said she's dead. The way they're talking and the way that you can tell what they heard in that letter, they're talking about her getting the body returned. And it sounded that way, right? Return the body. We'll pay you anything you want. We just want the body back. However, if you accidentally killed this woman, you're not returning that body. You're getting out of Dodge, right? You're doing everything you can to just lay low. Question, when the FBI gets involved in the case, automatically taken from the local law enforcement department, or do they have to work together? The local law enforcement will usually retain jurisdiction because there are jurisdictional issues. This is not a federal offense, kidnapping. Grab somebody and take them across a state line, or a payment is made via Bitcoin. Literally, they make the payment. Now it could be a federal offense because you're crossing state lines with the money, which is the crime, basically crossing state lines. That's why child pornography, can't say that one. No, not a good one. That's why child pornography is prosecuted by the feds more often than not, because it crosses state lines. You know, you're not buying it from somebody at 7-Eleven. You're buying it from some sick bastard that's probably in a different country. Why didn't they leave her when she got injured? Because they probably thought that she got a bloody nose. This isn't the end of the world, right? They may have even smacked her in the face. I'm not trying to bum anybody out, right? But if she was fighting them, they might have just, she's an 84-year-old woman. Bumping her up against things could get her to bleed. Now, they say that the blood looks like it had oxygen in it, so it was probably a nosebleed. Could the Apple Watch been planted too? I'm still not trusting Neckbeard and Annie. I hope I'm wrong. Vicky, I get it. And here's the thing. Everybody's pissed that we're going after the family. You know why we're going after the family? Because of you. Because of the way that this has been reported on. You've given us nothing. You have the ability to come out and say, here's why we've cleared the family. But they're not. Savannah didn't even do that. So it leaves the armchair sleuths to start sleuthing. That's kind of how true crime works in 2026, right? Start getting used to it. I just think that this is now a cover-up because Nanos screwed up so bad. Well, you know why I don't necessarily believe that? Because if there's one thing that you take away from this today, it's that the Pima County Sheriff and the FBI hate each other. You literally had them going, this is our case. No, this is our case. Now they're going, not my case. No, that's you, right? They printed a story that said all of those letters were bullshit, right? Waited 2 days, then they came out themselves to go, maybe not all of them. It doesn't make any sense. None of the reporting on this from the two agencies makes any sense. In the beginning, you know why most people are really onto this family? Because in the beginning, we were told that Annie Guthrie showed up and waited 53 minutes to call 911, right? Blood on the porch, but she didn't call 911 for 53 minutes. And that was Sheriff Nanos that did that. Then you give a long period of time that goes by before they correct that. And you know what happens during that time? People start looking at family members and going, this stinks. And that first snap judgment is a difficult thing to get out of your head, right? And that snap judgment definitely said, these people did it. You heard Anna and Tommaso are in Italy. They are not. They're in the United States. Megan Roberts says, I'm getting nothing from the reporting. Neither is anyone else. Neither is anyone else. This is a perfect example, and it's frustrating to beat shit because no one's going to get prosecuted. Hey, Samantha Joe. This is the most bizarre kidnapping story I ever heard. Yeah, because it turned into a murder case. And if you want to take a look at how most kidnappings are solved, they're not solved during the snatching part of the kidnapping. They're caught during the payout and the delivery back of the human being. That went out the window when this woman died. Now, whether those two notes are real or not, it doesn't much matter. It doesn't. I mean, it'll be interesting for the case, but at some point, I believe that she died. And at that point, you're in so over your head, right? When they sell this to you as a criminal, we just need a 3-man crew. We're just grabbing this old lady. It'll be a cakewalk. Her daughter's rich as shit. We're going to get $5 million. And then she dies. Not because you're a scumbag or because you're abusing her, but because she's 84 years old. She has a pacemaker, a bad ticker, and she takes a crap load of medication. Opiates. Including opiates. And there's a lot of people on the lifeboat who started off when this was a recovery channel. Kicking dope. I wouldn't be able to do it now at 50. What am I? 56. Yeah, kicking dope the first time could kill you. You believe Luke is the porch guy. You're never going to convince me of that. He acted very innocent. He got an attorney and started screaming. It has been alleged that they're planning lawsuits because of how badly this guy's life has been trashed by being arrested because his car they thought might have been in the area. The way that arrest went down, you know how many people were reporting that it's already done? I mean, you remember that. I did a show on it. I said, I'm not reporting on this. This is a shit show. Family in the yeah, but you can put a one in the chat if you think he is the porch guy. I'm not mad at you. Family is the highest percentage in cases. Yeah, you're 100% right. It's normally family or close associates that commit these crimes. It's also pretty logical to look at the last person that saw them alive. And that would be, by all accounts, Annie and Tommaso, although they reported back and forth on that the same way. Nothing in this has been reported solid. If this was any other law enforcement community in the U.S., I got to believe that Nanos would have stepped back, pulled himself out of all of the interviews, and used his public information officer. But during all of this, what else happens, right? Now we find out that the guy bullshitted his resume. He got fired when he worked at El Paso, and he said, I've never been laid off. You've got the people who hired him wanting him gone. Make no mistake. People said to me when this happened, why didn't they just vote him out? Because he would be having a lawsuit from hell. The only hope Nanos has of redeeming himself is to solve the case. No question. And no chance. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think that they're doing a lot. And at this point, it's a hot potato. I don't want this shit. This is you. You guys had this. No, the FBI had this. If we don't know who was running this investigation in the first 3 days, do you think any of them reached out to Google? Do you think any of them reached out to these companies and said, let's get a look at that film? Because you hold it for 3 days, right? If they didn't do that before the 3 days was up, they should go to prison. I mean it. The problem is, this isn't a conspiracy. I wish it was. You could prosecute people for conspiracies. This is straight running ego and ineptitude. You've got the FBI wanting the glory of the case, right up to the head of the FBI and the president tweeting, the FBI are going in now. This is, we're taken care of. Why have so many recent high-profile crimes, Nancy Guthrie, Charlie Kirk, and Idaho 4 been so effed up with no real answers? I think one of the reasons for this is because we live in a much different time. If you go back to the Night Stalker, right, or you go back to some of the really famous crimes of the 80s or 90s, even Ted Bundy, any of those, you didn't have millions of people getting together every night and talking about the case. There are content creators out there, and I'm not saying anybody's name. I'm not busting on anybody. I promise you. But there are content creators out there right now who come out every couple of days and find some random person that they're going to accuse of this murder. And you can say anything you want about somebody online. Those people should sue, but I doubt any of them will. If any of Tommaso aren't in Italy, where are they? They haven't been in Tucson in over a month. I don't know that I believe that at all. I don't know that I believe that they haven't been in Tucson in over a month. They certainly don't pop their head out, but neither does anybody else in this family except Savannah. And she's leaving the country apparently to go film a game show. And there's a lot of people that see a conspiracy in that. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them at all. I understand why this stinks like a conspiracy. And I understand why the Charlie Kirk thing feels like a conspiracy, or JFK, or 9/11, or Oklahoma City. Because number one, they don't ever give us real information. They think we're too stupid to handle the truth. And when you get fed misinformation constantly, you don't trust the people that give you that information. That's what's happening. And the larger the tragedy, the harder it is to believe that some jackass could have done this on his own. How could one evil piece of shit cause this much damage? We can't wrap our head around that as a human race. We just can't. I suggest you look at Aaron Smith Levin. He's a great example. One person who's decidedly evil can cause an awful lot of hate and an awful lot of damage. It's kind of how it goes down. You know what? He stopped his live feed. It's kind of a bummer. But we were about 130 people, 140 people over what he did. The guy can't make content without hate. Sending ransom notes to TMZ and allegedly making Neckbeard attorney is insane to me. So bizarre. Nobody made Neckbeard the attorney, Buffy. This is another one of those things and this is a problem, right? This is really a problem because so many people reported on this in the beginning. He had power of attorney over everything she did. Somebody pulled up a file that had been filed, and that file was a power of attorney. And Tommaso had signed it. I'm not a fan of Tommaso. Punisher, good to see you. So where are we at? I'm sorry, I read a comment and it threw me off. He never had power of attorney. He signed power of attorney over to Annie about 8 months before this stuff happened. Now, as somebody that has been married before, if you're buying property or you're doing things, very often you will sign over power of attorney to your significant other so that that person can go and sign all the papers and you don't have to be there. And they did just buy a house. I don't know that there's a smoking gun there because it isn't taking control of her finances, her being the abducted grandmother, right? Nancy, that's not what happened. He also doesn't have a verified gambling addiction. He also doesn't have, drug debts that people report this like it's real. Was there bloody shoe prints on the porch? That's why I'm wondering if the blood was planted after. I can't make out one reason to plant blood on the porch. What's the benefit? You're trying to snatch a woman out of her house and then you go back there and take some of her blood, right, that you had to have gotten some way and sprinkle it around the porch. What's the benefit to the criminal? Right? You're spending more time at the crime scene, and I promise you, When you're at that crime scene, your heart's beating like a freight train. I don't believe for a second that they would have planted blood. All it's going to do is cause you a lot more heat. Another reason I think his family, no other old women are being taken in Tucson. Correct. And the last thing in the world I would ever want to do is out anybody, right? I really am not that guy. However, when I lived in Tucson, I went to a church, and there was a very famous actor whose mom was in that church, and she's in that age. And I thought, good Lord. So I can't see a reason for anybody to plant blood. If you can, let me know. Sierra Terry, good to see you. How are you? No, when they bought the last house, he never came to the signing, which is odd, right? I mean, a power of attorney would keep him from having to go to a signing, right? So it's all in her name 100%. That could be the case. But I assure you, there is no power of attorney for him to take over her stuff. I am familiar with the video you're talking about from Oklahoma City. And I'm not going to lie to you. You can convince me very, very easily that the Oklahoma City thing is a false flag, or it was done to usher in the days of the control that they have by bugging people, the Patriot Act and everything that it was going to roll out after that. I can very easily be convinced of that. But it doesn't mean I'm right. It very well could just be that I look at Tim McVeigh and the people that he worked with and went, these idiots caused that much damage, right? Because they're weird, racist people and people who are pissed off about what happened, to and another person who was shot by the ATF and all of the things that they claim to be really high on. Punisher. Tommy, you look great. So glad you're feeling better. We look good in pink, buddy. No question. My favorite color too. And I'm not lying. I absolutely love the color pink. It is my favorite color. I've actually got a ton of pink shirts, a ton of them. I just, I don't know. I think I look good in it. Patriots pride from the other day. April Schultz, I will look at that. It's going to be frustrating to us, right? But I think the realistic part of this is that when you screw up this badly in the first 48 hours and the crime stops on a dime, this crime, allegedly, especially by me, I'm alleging the shit out of this. This was a kidnapping for ransom gone bad. Miss Weedy Poo, good to see you. Hey, Just Joan. This was a murder for kidnap, a kidnap for ransom that went bad. When it goes bad, the second half of that crime, you're not going to get to investigate. They're not going to be delivering a body to you. They're not going to be going somewhere to pick up the cash or tracing it through Bitcoin. I also don't think it was an incredibly good idea. And what do I know, right? I'm just a dumb convict. But I don't think it was an incredibly good idea when you have the address of the Bitcoin to send $300. Because if I asked for 4 million and you sent 300, I'm not going to go pull the 300 off. They call it tickling the wire. You thought they're going to go, hey, check it out, 300, let's do this. Yeah, I could use a little bit more water. Thank you again, Punisher. You are very, very kind. Question. Is the theory that the entire family could be in on it or just a few? I don't know what Savannah Guthrie possibly could gain from wanting to get rid of her mother. I look for any kind of motive. I just don't see it. Thank you for always, forever, for life. I appreciate that. Do you think the 911 call hasn't been released because if we heard it, we'd be jumping all over Annie and Tommaso for pretending that Nancy had wandered away? You know what? There's some reason, right? Here's the other thing, though. We just found out recently, months after the fact, that there was a letter that said she's dead. We just found out. In the beginning, they said there are reasons to believe that these letters are real, but they never told any of us that in the beginning. And they can't, because they have to justify. Let's say I arrest you and I bring you in or you come in and say, I know who did this. Really? Well, then tell me this, this, and this. They always withhold certain things so that they can get someone who calls in and says, I know. You can test them. It's legit. It's always done. However, it isn't 1985, right? It's not the days where you could keep stuff under wraps, or if you released it, 400,000 people might see it on the news and actually give a crap. There is an entire genre of people that thrive on true crime. This is a very popular genre within, YouTube, every platform out there. This is huge. People like this. Why? Because everything else is fake. Everything. I mean, how hard is it to find a YouTube channel these days that isn't AI, that isn't somebody bullshitting you for, your socks off? I got to a point, by the way, 445 of you in here. Do me a favor, smack that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't, because they're trying to take me out. Come on, Tommy. Perps may get hungry and all that. Yeah, exactly, Sam Lamb. Hey, listen, I know it's not 4 million, but we could go get some, some. I could use that 350. We're going to go and get some Taco Bell. Do you think someone will eventually get tired of waiting on their money and rat? I think what will happen, very likely, and this happens a lot, is that there are people who know, and they're too afraid to tell because there are people that know that they know. And these are guys that obviously now even if you just thought your friend was a half-assed gangster, now he's responsible for a murder. And you're afraid that, and let's say you're a criminal too. What ends up happening is guys get busted and they get brought in on another crime and they go, you know what? I don't really want to do any time on this. How about I tell you who did the Nancy Guthrie thing? If you research true crime and look how many times that happens, how many times some dude who's a perp in a different case decides he's going to rat his ass off on this case because he would much rather not go to prison for the rest of his life. And that's a bargaining chip for a criminal. You know who killed somebody? That actually will get you sent home with a bag of weed. You know what I'm saying? It will. They don't crack off huge sentences for people that turn over murderers. And I think that kind of thing will happen. You don't eat Taco Bell. I'm not a Taco Bell fan either.
The only place you get gas for under $3.
Johnny Scoville says Taco Bell is the only place you can get gas now for under $3. But what's that?
Probably 5 now.
Yeah, it could be 5 now. But I don't think that there's a Taco Bell in this country. If there is, it sure as hell isn't anywhere near me. So I'm pretty cool with that. Had a hell of a day at the beach today, people. It was absolutely gorgeous. Temperatures just starting to drop, and there's a cool breeze. Even made men are snitches. That's right. I mean, this is the reality. The reality is that very few people can keep secrets. They can keep them until there's a real good reason to not keep it. Like you can walk on something. Hold on a second. You go to Taco Time. I can see that. Ali Sayer says, Taco Bell, explosive diarrhea. I had a friend that worked there once, and he said to me, every single thing that we make here comes in like what a milk jar, an old milk carton comes in. You open the top, you pour the stuff out. I said, yeah, I'm good. Even made men are snitches. Not all our grandfathers mafia. Look at how John Gotti went down. His right-hand man. Yeah. And boy, if they want to take somebody out, look at the deal that Sammy the Bull got. And I'm not bagging on Sammy the Bull, but allegedly he killed 19 people, and he got 5 years. Right? 5 years for 19 murders. Why? Because 36 other people went to prison. If you can give them something that they need really badly, then it's a lock. What's the motive for the kidnapping? Money. Money. Plain and simple. I don't eat produce from Mexico either, solely because all of the produce that I eat is sold here locally. We don't import a crap load of food here in Ecuador. The motive for the kidnapping is money, plain and simple. I mean, you don't grab an 84-year-old woman for too many other reasons. And I know people are going to say, there are weird sex guys. And I've talked about this a lot, but it is a very odd thing. Yeah, even with family bread, it's a very odd thing that the people that end up sexually assaulting or raping a woman in her 80s tend to be really young. Not sure what the psychology or the psychopathy is on that, but it really tends to be people who are very young. That guy on the porch didn't look like he was 18 to me, right? And I think there are multiple people involved in this. And the longer this goes on, the more that the people who are supposed to be really smart at this are saying the same thing. There's a lot of people involved in this, at least 2 or 3. Your wife has the explosive diarrhea. It's absolutely horrible. Wow. That's putting someone on blast. She probably doesn't watch the Lifeboat, though. She's in good shape. 440 of you in here. Really makes me feel good. See that, though? So Taco Bell doesn't get everybody. Taco Bell doesn't get everybody. I guess that's a good thing. I simply will not eat it. I eat a lot of very similar foods, and there are Mexican restaurants here. There are two that serve Ecuadorian and Mexican food that are within maybe 300 yards from here, and one serves Tex-Mex. Do I think they'll ever find Nancy's body, or do you think the sheriff will continue to ruin it? Eventually, this gets solved. I think it's going to take time, but eventually, I wholeheartedly believe that this gets solved, because the longer things go on, the more people start to think, I'm not in any trouble. This isn't a big deal. They sit down at a bar. They get loaded with a chick. They go back and have sex and say, you want to hear something crazy? I know the guys that kidnapped Nancy Guthrie. That's no shit. I know them. Isn't that nuts? They told me right after it happened, they actually had video of her or whatever. And that girl goes, wow, that is nuts. And as soon as the guy leaves, she calls up to get $1.2 million. The longer that this stuff goes on, the more chance that there is of, of somebody that sort of breaks ranks. What's my favorite restaurant in Tucson? What was that one? Fire or whatever. You know what? I couldn't remember the name of one if I had to. I have bathtub memory, people. Honestly, I left the United States. We were talking about this today. Even like the cars that we look at. When I first got here, I was like, that is so weird. Look at that car. What's that called?
Chevy Civic.
A Chevy Civic. Now nothing seems to freak me out anymore. My son's been home 7 months now, and what hurt him the most was to find out how many people are snitches when he's never snitched on one day in his life. Only 85%, right? That's a federal statistic, but only 85%. Loose lips sink ships, and the longer that the terrifying realization that you might be under investigation, the longer that the terrifying realization that you may end up spending time in prison, the farther you get away from that, right? When I got arrested for bank robbery, I hadn't robbed a bank in 2 years, 18 months, something like that. It had been a long time since I had robbed a bank. I was basically out. Hey, J-Bug. Oddly, Jennifer Coffendoffer made, Jennifer Coffendoffer is, she was in the FBI. She probably knows more than I do. I don't agree with a lot of the things that she comes up with. I don't, but, she certainly has better credentials. Do you think Annie was contacted by the church ladies around 10 a.m. after the church service, and Annie and Tommaso contacted the police at noon? I don't know. They went over to the house, and then they contacted the police, allegedly 7 minutes after they got there. No one ever claimed the Bitcoin. Yeah, but it was $300. Like, if you're a criminal, you got to be an asshole to risk the $300, because your first thought is going to be, they put that on there because they know how to track me, right? That's a scary thing. It really is. It's a scary thing. But this is a comedy of errors. And sadly, this is a woman's life. I'm not making light of that. If this was my mom, I would be devastated. I can't imagine what they're going through. But people say, why did the family disappear? Well, all of us think that somebody in the family did it. That's not our fault. It isn't. It's the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff and Savannah Guthrie. She had an opportunity to really do something to shut that down. Jennifer Coffendoffer left her common sense at the FBI. I love that. I really do. Somebody from the church contacted Annie, and then she drove over there and allegedly got there. And about 7 minutes, something like that, after she got there, even that kind of blows me away. If I go there and I can't find my mother would have told me if she was going anywhere when I lived in the same town. But if I couldn't find my mother and there was blood on the front porch, I would have called immediately. 7 minutes, though, might be how long it took. Yeah, the feds call it tickling the wire. Like, they think that all criminals are so stupid that if you ask for $4 million and somebody sends over 300, they'll be like, well, I may as well grab that 300. That's just, to me, that almost seems Keystone Cops-like. I got a hard time wrapping my freaking brain around that. I'm not going to lie to you. Does that sound logical? Put a 2 in the chat if that sounds stupid. And I know we're not FBI agents. White Castle is rectum rockets, either with or without the onions. Now, you know what? I realize this isn't true crime, but I have to take a stand on this, because I would rather eat White Castle hamburgers than Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner. Hey, and make no mistake, Allie's not wrong, but there are things in life that are just worth doing. When I lived in Nevada, there was a place called Lulu's. great restaurant. If you're ever in Reno, Lulu's is off the hook. It could survive in New York. It's a great restaurant. And one day I went in and the guy said, have you tried our have you tried our mac and cheese? I said, I have not. He goes, we'll bring you over a free order. Well, it was truffle mac and cheese. And for people who have watched The Lifeboat for a long time, you know that I can't eat fungus. I can't eat mushrooms. I can't eat truffles. And I'm eating and I'm like, this is incredible. And I went, the girl I was with went, your neck doesn't look right. I went, oh shit, what do you mean? She's like, you got stripes on it. And I went outside, got the EpiPen, stuck it in my leg, right? No harm, no foul. I'm still here. But I said to her like 2 weeks later, I'm going to go back there with an EpiPen and I'm going to eat that shit again because it's absolutely worth the taste. And I'll just EpiPen. Yeah, I had an uncle that used to do that. He would drive. He loved olives, but they made him blow up. He had the same kind of allergy I did. And he would drive to the emergency room and eat a jar of them on the way. But I love White Castle. It definitely puts you on the toilet. But I will make that sacrifice. And you may not believe this, but there was a day where I was good for about 35 of them. Yes. My uncle's wedding, my brother, myself, and two uncles, and my dad went out and ordered, 87 of them or 85 of them? It was the most ridiculous. And then we went back up and got more. It was like everyone was trying to prove how many you could eat. And then we fought because we were in a house that had only 3 toilets, and that didn't become an issue. You know what, Wee Sparrow? If it was mushroom mac and cheese, but it was truffle, and it had this buttery, unbelievable taste, that might have killed me, but it was tasty. White Castle is awful. Linda Garden Lady, look, you can beat on anything I care about. Call me a rapist. Don't beat on White Castle. Come on. E.G.'s. There you go. There's a place in Tucson, Arizona that I loved. E.G.'s was incredible. And I've had I've had everything they can make there. Their ices are ridiculous. They're almost a religion. You love truffles. I would like to. I really would, but they can kill me. So I got to give that up, sort of. I'm on a bratwurst kick, people. I'm really into bratwurst at the moment because it's good for your heart. Crystal's over White Castle any day. Angie Mo, we've had our differences and I love you. But I can't say that Crystal's is better than White Castle. I simply can't. I don't know what it is. It's the monkey meat. Whatever they use at White Castle, I think that they put opiates in it. You eat 3 of them, you're like, damn, I need 3 more of those. And that can go on all day if people don't tackle you and pull you out of the restaurant. What's that?
That's like the bread in Ozark.
Oh, you know what? We got a bakery nearby here. And I literally had to go in and ask the dude, what are you putting in the bread? Right? I love bakeries, but the amount of bread I'm eating isn't healthy. I haven't eaten White Castle in 30 years, but I loved it. Also liked Hardee's. You know, I've never been a Hardee's dude. They weren't around. Hardee's is better than White Castle. Sam Lamb, you're on thin ice. Thin ice. Come on, man. Hardee's isn't better than White Castle. How about Sonic? You want to hear something interesting about Sonic? You know, you come to the channel, you get a little true crime. I shit on a couple of people, and I'm going to give you some facts that you probably never heard anywhere else. Do you have any idea how long it would take to taste every single drink you can get at a Sonic? Because I asked somebody that once. I said, you should have a punch card, and then you could taste every single one of the drinks or whatever. He goes, it'd take you like 1,000 years. And apparently, if you have like 25 or 30 different, syrups that you can add to something, and you can add it to 8 different beverages, you literally have like an unlimited amount of possibilities. I'll tell you what stinks, being out of your Suboxone. Oh, you're kidding. They don't have your Suboxone. I am so sorry to hear that. I went through this on a couple of occasions. And you know what blew my mind? I said to them, I'll take the generic. And they said, your insurance only pays for name brand. I was like, let me get this straight. My insurance will pay for a box of this shit that's $400. It will not pay for a box of this shit that's $60. And they went, correct. I said, then I'll pay for it with cash. But a lot of times, if you have insurance, they only pay for name brands, which proves it's a hustle, right? They're all in on it. Tommy, I said since day one, this sheriff was trash. He didn't know what he was doing, and he compromised this whole case. Pray his ineptitude to not make this case never get solved. Well, you know something? Just to put some of you at ease, is it going to get solved in the next couple of months? I doubt it. But is it going to get solved? Yeah. And I said that about the Gilgo Beach when everybody said that one, the guy who did it's already dead. They're never going to catch that guy. I said, oh, they're going to catch him. They're going to catch him. And what happened in Gilgo Beach is they got rid of the sheriff that was effing things up. Then the FBI came into the new sheriff and said, we'd like to put a full task force together on this and kind of go nuts. And you know what happened, people? They went through a file and found a picture of an automobile that had been in that file. Probably 6 bodies had disappeared while that thing was in that file. But new eyes came in. They were like, wait a second, this car is kind of unique. I believe it was an Avalanche, if I'm not mistaken, Johnny Scoville. Johnny asked me what kind of car it was. I believe it was a Chevy Avalanche, first generation. I believe it was green. But that ended up busting open a lead that led to him. They went, stalked out where he worked at his office in New York and snatched a pizza box, took his DNA off the pizza, and that's why Rex Heuermann is spending the rest of his life in prison. And it might take a fresh set of eyes. Sadly, he's going to be in there for a few more years, right? I mean, Nanos isn't going anywhere in the near future. And I know that that's a bummer to a lot of us because we all want to see this solved, right? Have you ever spent any time in KC? You mean Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas? Because if you've been around for a while, you probably saw me in Kansas City, Missouri, because I was helping my wife get away from her ex-husband. He was not a good guy. And about the time that she was trying to divorce him, he started getting nastier and nastier and nastier. And she was in fear. So I went out there and I helped her move and got to hang out with him, which was a pretty good time. So, yeah, I've been to Kansas. You know what? I've been to Kansas City, Kansas, too. I've basically been everywhere in the U.S. at one time or another. A lot of times I was there to not really hang out. I was there to work. When I worked as a public speaker, you end up going into town. And if they have a really great restaurant, everybody in the city talks about the restaurant, you'll go out to it. If Something About Mary was in the theaters, we went out and saw Something About Mary. I think I watched that like 100 times in theaters. Because for like 4 months, everywhere we went, it was in town. And me and one of the other speakers, a guy named Danny, we liked it so much that every night when we were done, we would just go out and watch the movie. And right as we were getting to the point where we're like, we can't keep spending money on movies like this, we checked into the next hotel for our gig, and they had it on SpectraVision. And I said, bro, SpectraVision. Now we don't even have to leave.
You also want to remind you.
Do any of you remember Chi-Chi's? Oh, I remember Chi-Chi's.
You also want me to remind you to thank the PayPal people.
Yes, I did that earlier, but I'll do it again. You know, for those of you who are sending me PayPals, I really appreciate the hell out of it. I know that people love that. They call me a grifter. But it's kindness. It really is. The number of people that have sent me emails today, reached out to me and just said, hey, this sucks for you. It sucks for you, right? You're kind people. A lot of you probably saw some of it. A lot of you probably went over there. I hope you didn't. It doesn't, all it does is help that guy. But it doesn't suck for me. It doesn't. I knew this was going to happen. I look like Nostradamus calling it. I told you exactly what was going to happen. He's already made this video before. This isn't new. The last time I think he had, 4,000 people or something watching in the live chat. I'm not nearly as cool as I used to be, apparently. But the guy doesn't have any engagement. And that's the reality. He's more pissed off about the fact that I pointed that out to people than anything else. That's the truth. 10 White Castles with mustard and extra onions. You know what? This is the comment of the day. I don't care who you are. This is literally the comment of the day. Because that's kind of how I eat mine. With mustard and extra onions only. It's the best. It's worth the bathroom runs. Hello. I'm sorry. That's it. I mean, so you got to go to the hopper. You don't have to hit yourself with an EpiPen. Doesn't seem like it's that hard. Yeah, I spent a long time there, Case Face. I didn't just go out and say, all right, you ready to get in the truck? I lived in the basement. And it's good that I did. If you watch during that time, I had to freak out once. I was live and he started screaming at her from upstairs. I mean, in a voice you wouldn't have wanted to hear. And I did it while live. People joked about it all the time, but it looked something like this. It literally went something like this. it was that right there. And I said, let him know I'm about to come up there and kill him. And she said, I think you're triggering Tommy, and I don't think you want him coming up here. And amazingly, he went, no, I don't. And he shut up. Do you think they will find bodies in the state where Huerman has his other properties? Okay, so if I'm putting a bet on this, I'd give you 2-1 that they're going to find bodies there. This guy wasn't a recreational serial killer. He had computer programs on his computer that talked about what he wanted to do. And I've read this on the show. It's disturbing. I'm sorry. But he had stuff on there like, the quicker the abduction, the more playtime I have with the victims. He's a sick individual. See what I did there? He's a sick individual. Yeah, I absolutely believe Rex Huerman is going to be hit up for more bodies. And I think he knows that. I really do. I think he knows that. It's going to be interesting because there are multiple states that he had properties in. And one of them is Las Vegas. If you think about how this dude did what he did, right? Yeah, you know what? Somebody just said, doesn't suck for me. I'm not watching. I do not watch ever. It was a wild time, Angie Mo. It definitely was. And it sucked. I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't any fun. I dropped about 10 or 15 pounds. I can show you pictures from there. I won't because I don't have a top on, but I was more sucked up than you've ever seen. Like you could count ribs because I didn't want to sit down and eat with this fool. It was very uncomfortable. And it was just hard. It was not a great time. But yeah, Huerman will get caught for that. And he owes the FBI. I'm sure that most of you know this. I've covered it. But he owes the FBI. He owes him a sit down. He owes him all kinds of crap. 270 likes? What is it? Seriously, do I have to put the hat on? It's covered in cat hair, man. Could you go smack the like button? What's that? Nah, it's just not the same. It's just not the same, Johnny Scoville. But yeah, you know what? The motto of the day. Look, this wasn't a great day, people, right? It wasn't. I cut the back of my head viciously shaving, and it's been killing me. Las Vegas for Rex Huerman. He had a place out in Vegas. You want to talk about a place where you can find a prostitute, right? People report that prostitution is legal in Las Vegas. It is not. That doesn't mean that when you walk up and down the strips, you won't see 7,000 little pieces of paper that have prostitutes on them and their phone numbers. They pay people to stand in the street and hand them out. But it is not legal on the strip. It's not legal in Las Vegas. The closest legal brothel, I want to say, is in Pahrump, which is maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes outside of town. But this is a guy that could have hired escorts there that fast. That fast. Now, that said, they usually have really big dudes that protect them, right? Vegas is a little different. And those women usually have huge guys in the car outside. And if they don't get a phone call at a certain period of time, they're coming through that door, right? So, but it's going to be interesting. He could have done it a long time ago. He was prolific, and he's a scumbag. Thank you, Tennessee girl. Hey, Kellyanne, you made me laugh today. You made me laugh today, and I do dig a good laugh. Case not solved. Savannah called a senator who called nanos protection, in my opinion. I don't see it that way. And I'm not mad at you because it makes sense, right? But let's just say you're her and you've interviewed a lot of really powerful people. Are you not going to call in every favor you got? Are you not going to call in every single person who can call out there and say, hey, I'm a senator. You are doing everything you can on this, right? You're going after them. I think about myself. If my mom was missing, I only know one or two people in law enforcement. They're not even in the state she lives in, but I would have called them. And if I do happen to know a senator, believe it or not, one of them signed off on my paperwork to move to Ecuador, where you can't move as a rapist, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know that. They don't bring anybody in here that is. It is not legal. All the time I thought it was. No, prostitution is not legal in Las Vegas. People like to say that prostitution is legal in Nevada. The only places that have brothels, the town of Mustang, which is up near Reno, has like the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, all the ones you saw on like HBO or Cinemax or whatever did those reality shows there. Those are all in Mustang, Nevada. The Mustang Ranch was one of the first ones to ever come out.
They wanted to hire us.
Yeah, there was a time where we had a job offer from them. Yeah, I know, that's ridiculous.
True story.
I know. What creepy? He looked for victims on the back of the Village Voice in the 1980s, because the back of the Village Voice in the 1980s was the equivalent of the guys walking up and down the strip and handing stuff out. Now we have internet and they have Red Door or Back Door. I can't remember what it's called, but it's where, prostitutes. If you go online and you put escorts in, you'll get a gazillion things that pop up, or at least that's what Johnny Scoville told me. I'm sorry. Low-hanging fruit. I've done shows on it. I researched it for that reason. I knew a million hookers, but not because I ever hired them. I was a heroin addict for 3 decades. You run into a lot of women who sell their body for heroin. Men steal shit. They con people. Women tend to, they don't do it originally, but if you stay strung out on that stuff long enough, your soul will be sold for it. I certainly sold mine. I just didn't have the equipment to become that kind of an individual. I had the wrong equipment. I became a thief, and not proud of a lot of the stuff I did during that time. I'm pretty damn proud of who I am today, though. Shout out to Lindsay for the same reason. Everybody got to see a really bad version of her yesterday. But the amazing thing is that that's not who she is today. It's amazing to watch somebody move forward, kind of like Aaron. He's doing a lot of that too. Seems to be healing. I'm pulling hard for him. I don't watch the guy's shit ever. You may not believe that, but I don't. I won't watch what he put up about me. But since the screenshot he used was a video of me from last night, I'm thinking he watched mine. And if he is, he's probably pretty pissed that I got 456 people in here. Your protest videos are killing it. I didn't call that, did I? So glad you are the great person today, Tommy. Well, thank you, the real Peppermint Patty. I really do appreciate that. I've worked fairly hard at it. But I wasn't a good dude. I hurt a lot of people. Most of them happened to be men. And most of them didn't pick fights over an internet. Escorts have very sad stories. Nobody grows up wanting to become a hooker. I've never met one that didn't have a drug problem. And I'm not joking you. I've met hundreds of them. But I've never met one that didn't have a drug problem. And there are people that used to come in the chat and go, I was a call girl for 5 years. I never had a drug problem. I got to take you at your word. But I haven't met you in person, and everyone I ever met had a drug problem. Change is far from easy. You know what, though? You get to a point in life, surely what a kind thing to say. You get to a point in life where you go, I'm going to change, or I'm going to die a piece of shit. And if that were me and I was going to die a piece of shit, I was going to do it in prison. And I was pretty much done. I didn't want to go back there. I had gotten everything I could get out of prison. And I'll tell you something. It was the last sentence was the best thing that ever had happened to me. It really was. I knew a girl who was trafficked with a serious drug problem. Well, a lot of the people who are trafficked, hey, me saw smokes. If you're not super young, then a lot of the people who are trafficked, it's very easy to get somebody to go with you or do whatever. Sadly, I've told this story before, but I went to Mexico once to buy heroin because the price of it was so ridiculous. I'm not joking you when I say it was like 100 to 1 compared to what it cost in the United States. For $1, it was like $100 worth of heroin. It's insane. But then you got to try to smuggle it back across the border. But I was with a cab driver who said to me, I can take you to a place right now, best stuff you've ever seen. It's a bit of a ride. I went, yeah, no problem. 2.5 hours later, we're still driving, and the road isn't a road, and there's grass growing up in the middle of it. And I remember thinking to myself, while I was going there, they're probably going to kill me. And instead of saying, hey, turn this thing around, I needed that dope so bad that I was like, oh, at least if they do, I'm not dope sick tomorrow. I got food poisoning from Taco Bell. See that? It was from the Taco Bell Mexican pizza. Avoid that crap like the plague. I think you have a lot to be proud of. Our past is just that, past. I don't watch any hate, but regardless of what they say, your character today speaks for itself. What a kind thing to say. We're going to be neighbors soon. Debbie Love and Life is actually emigrating to where I live in Salinas, Ecuador. So while you're here, because this is actually funny, pretty damn easy to get here and get a visa, isn't it? I'll bet you're having a good time. And I can't give you any advice. It's just a bitch. You got to get your criminal record from the feds. You got to get it from the state. You got to get it apostolized. I got a lot of letters from a lot of people that said that I helped them get sober. They wanted to see growth. So my criminal record was rubber stamped. I also had a letter from a senator, which didn't hurt. Tommy, you know how I feel about you? You are the true definition of a hero. Kicking heroin in the ass You're truly the best, buddy. Punisher, that's a kind thing to say. You know, it's funny how many people who have had to kick that drug. Yes, I have heard of him. Why do you ask out of curiosity? But like if you look at Elton John, I saw Elton John interviewed. I've seen so many people interviewed where they say, you've just been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You've got 25 Grammys. You've done this, this, and this. What are you most proud of in your life? And they go, getting sober. Getting sober, plain and simple. Do you only cover current true crime events, or would you consider unsolved cold cases? Send me an email. I love old cold cases. Also, I have one I'm doing for Renee B that's coming up. It's the Leopold and Loeb story. Absolutely fascinating. I've had it in the can for a really long time. I kind of got wrapped up talking about, I don't like it when people attack women. I really don't, especially if they're trying to hurt them. But I'm ready to get back to doing what I'm doing. Especially now that you can juxtapose me and him, right? I told you it was going to happen. I hope he leaves it up. Somebody said to me, I'm 90% sure you could get that struck. Not if I don't try. I knew he was going to go up with that. I'm glad that he did. You can see who I am. I'll be here every single night for the next couple of years. And now go see who he is. 290, I think I saw 330 at one point, which is killing it when you got 256,000 people in your organization. And I promise you, people, everything I said about him, that's what pisses him off the most. His channel's failing. He's an egomaniac, and he can't stand the fact that there are people that are doing better. He understands YouTube. He's looking at my engagement rate right now, and he's comparing it to his, and he's probably considering dropping the body. It's an absolute pain. you know what? I don't have a criminal record, and yet it's still taking forever. Tons of paperwork. I'd love to tell you that as soon as you get here, that stops. It doesn't. But what I will tell you is this, and I can even recommend a really good place. When you get here, hand all that paperwork off to a professional. They'll handle the rest of it, and it's not expensive. I mean, it's not $200, but in the United States, to have a lawyer do this would probably cost you 10 grand. What did we pay? 8 something? I think it was 800 for 2 of us.
I'd have paid him triple.
Yeah, Johnny says I would have paid him triple. What do you think about the guy who went after Al Roker at the Today Show yesterday? I'm embarrassed to admit that I have no idea what happened to Al Roker yesterday. He shit his pants at the White House once. I got mad respect for a guy that'll tell you that. I'm not joking. I love people that are self-deprecating. I love people that aren't messed up about talking about their worst time. That is your uncle. Shut up. He just passed away on July 4th. How appropriate. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but my God, how appropriate. I am in the works of publishing his final boom, exposing the FBI about several things. Holy crap, real peppermint patty. What? I'm telling you, how proud is that? You know what I mean? It's not having it's not having David Miscavige for an uncle. I'm being really tongue in cheek. That's one of the coolest things I've ever heard. I'm using it. You're using EcuAssist. Yeah, but here's the good news. So it takes 60 business days, right? But you're here. You don't have to leave for 90, and you can get a 90-day extension. Now, if you don't leave after the 180, you're in trouble. But you could come here and get all of that done here. They'll have it done in 60 days. And that doesn't mean that you get your card. It still drags on after this. You want to hear something incredible? I'm not trying to bag on the country I'm in. I'm really not. Do you know why we couldn't get ours officially? Because they ran out of the stamps they put on visas, and they had to wait for the reorder, which was after, I can't remember when their fiscal year started, but they literally reached out and said, they're out of stamps. Your stuff's in the office waiting for one. Give it a couple of months. Yeah, but now we're good. Tommy, I have a son sadly suffering from addiction. How do you get free from this demon? Honestly, I need to know what to do. Well, a lot of that depends on what you're addicted to, right? But the real trick is, and there's no way I can stress this enough, the opposite of addiction is connection. When you're a junkie, you can be in a room shooting dope with 9 people. You don't care about any of them. They don't care about you. The only thing that holds you together is the fact that you're all addicted to some shit. So once you begin to connect with people, right? You know why I started the Lifeboat? Because I had gotten out of prison, and they said to me, you got to go do 90 meetings in 90 days. I said, I'll do them myself. And they were like, no, that doesn't work. And I said, then take me back to prison. And they said, what? And I said, the last 5 times that I have Yeah, the last 5 times that I've relapsed, I've done it at an AA or an NA meeting. I'm not going to another one ever again. So they said to me, so you're going to go online and put these up. The guy's like, if there aren't people there watching, you don't get credit for it. And I didn't do 90 meetings in 90 days. I probably did 170 or 180 meetings in 90 days. And I had about 35 or 40 people that would show up in it. And at the time, I thought that was a ton of people, right? I thought that was a ton of people. So the connection that I have found with people, depending on what the drug is, there's medical assisted treatment that is going a long way to helping people get sober. They're getting good at it. And there's a lot of options. It's not just methadone or Suboxone or Ibogaine. There's a lot of different things that you can do now to try to get off of the substance. And the most important thing in the world is the support of people that love them and not judging them. Say, if you can say to somebody, because you say, oh, you're addicted to drugs. I can't believe this could happen to you. All you're doing is driving into the next shot or the next snort. If you just say, I've been looking into this and it's a disease. It's legit. This has you. I don't want it to have you. I love the person you were. And I would love to do anything within my power to help you get back to it. The lifeboat, I'm a con man. The lifeboat in the first couple of years put 133 people into medical assisted treatment. And we didn't win all of them, but I bet we did 80. We did pretty damn good. 250th birthday of America. I'm so very proud of him. I have several of his conversations with Medgar Evers before he died. Are you kidding? Yes. Email them to me and I would be honored to read them. I really would. That is absolutely amazing. If we could get some ones for Joy's son. And, when I started talking to people about rehabilitation, if you said that drug addiction was a disease, people went nuts on you. And now and for real, it's how I got my first 2 Nazi haters, right? By saying that it was a disease. They're like, no, cancer's a disease. If you're a drug addict, you're a loser. I was, you were. Yeah, no question. But it is a disease. It has symptoms, right? All of these things. There are tests that you can do that will show that somebody is a drug addict and somebody else is not. It is absolutely 100% a disease. And when we accept that and we realize that it's not a defective character, right? Because that was the setup for a long time. Oh, you're an alcoholic? Well, you're a piece of shit. Right? Obviously, you can't control yourself. I can drink. I can have 2 beers and not stop. Why can't you? I can process sugar. Why can't the diabetic? And you say, well, that's 2 different things, Tommy. One is a disease of choice, right? With drugs, you pick up the drug, you decide to smoke it or shoot it or snort it or whatever, right? That's different than someone that just gets a disease like diabetes. Well, how about type 2 diabetes? How about when you already have in your body the ticking time bomb, but you decide to drink 14 Coca-Colas a day, and at lunch you crush 5 or 6 hamburgers, and you swell up in size, and you start going into your older years, 60 pounds overweight, and you develop diabetes. That is the exact same thing as someone that has the precursor in their body, the genetic time bomb of being a drug addict, who then experiments. Now, it's still lifestyle, it's still behavior, except one you're never going to shit on. No one's ever going to go, you got diabetes, you weak son of a bitch, right? That's never going to happen. But it happens to drug addicts, and it's one of the saddest things because compassion goes a long way. Do I know anything about Thailand? Yeah, I do. We looked at Thailand big time. You have to border jump in Thailand. I wanted to buy a house and never leave. So it's one of the reasons I ended up here in Thailand. To the best of my knowledge, you have to border jump. Like they're not letting you live there full time. So you go across the border and then you walk back and it starts your clock of 90 days or 180 days, which isn't the end of the world. But I just didn't want to have to deal with that. And I figured I had a much better chance of learning to speak Spanish than I did learning to speak Thai, right? I already knew a little bit of Italian, and I bought a lot of heroin from a lot of Mexicans over the course of my life. So I knew all the important shit, like cuánto tiempo, right? Like how long is it going to be before you're here? I know your dad is looking down at you with a huge smile and thinking my son is clean and living his best life right now. Thank you. Yeah. It comes up. It comes up. We talk about that a lot. There are many times where my brother looks so much like my dad now, it's insane. And there are times where I'll just look at him and the last time I talked to my dad, I said to him, I'm never going to stick a needle in my arm again as long as I live. I promise you. He said, I know. I don't have a doubt. And he died that night. So I think he definitely went out And he knew he was. It was something he was playing. My brother just popped in wearing my dad's hat. He's a dick. It's definitely a disease, chemical imbalance. Correct. There's something wrong in the brain, right? There's something wrong in the brain. Now, sadly, we treat mental illness the same way. It's a defect. You're depressed, get up, shake it off, right? I hope that in my lifetime, and I don't know how much lifetime I got left, but I hope in my lifetime that we see people who are drug addicts. Gabby Girl says, ask Johnny if he wants a girlfriend. He's got a cat that would be pissed at that. I can smoke one cigarette. Never did it again. Drink, I'm fine. Be on Valium and stop when I don't need it. You put fried chicken and a credit card in front of me, I go off. Depends on what gives you dopamine. That's such a great comment because it's the truth. And as crazy as this sounds, because people don't like to hear this and they think I'm nuts, but I never had a problem putting down any other drug. For real. I could smoke pot. I could eat pills, providing they weren't an opiate. Like benzos or barbiturates back in the day. Like I never got out of control on Quaaludes. I had a decent time. I put them away. All of those drugs, I would do it for a while and then go, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore because it didn't own me. But the very first time I ever did heroin, I was like, this is how I want to feel for the rest of my life. It took away all the pain. It took away spiritual pain. It took away emotional pain. And it took away physical pain. And at the time, I was in a lot of it, from that fake ski career I had. God help us. But that's actually a great comment. My son is 31 now, but when he was 17, he started using heroin. We didn't find out for over a year. He was still doing his homework, and we just dismissed his attitude. I don't think anybody knew with me for probably 15 years. I had a job that paid me a shitload of money. And if I wasn't making enough money for the dope, I worked harder at the job. And it was a stupid amount of money. I was working as a public speaker, and the amount of money they were paying me was off the hook. And until all that started to dry up, that's when they start to notice, right? I had a friend that used to say, I had no idea you were on drugs until I saw you sober. And what's that?
I heard that a lot.
Well, yeah, you were a junkie too. But it's a difficult thing to kick. And one of the other reasons that and I mean drugs in general, I do look a lot like my brother. Rehabs can be pricey and sketchy. 100% they can. However, you don't necessarily have to pay for a high dollar rehab. There are a lot of places that will give you an opportunity to go somewhere that isn't going to cost you a fortune. I've probably been through 10 rehabs that I didn't pay $1 for. And I wasn't even hurting on money. You get in trouble, right? Most people don't go to rehab because they want to. They get arrested, whatever. If you say, I want help, they'll give it to you. Most people will never say that. So how much fun is it having a common name? My real name is super common too. It's a bummer. it's a bummer, but it isn't hurting me, people. I promise you this. I am more. See, Ali went to one on a grant. Yeah, you see that a lot. 5 years sober. Can we get a 5 in the chat? Congratulations, Ali. I love that. I absolutely love that. Sam Lamb, there's a lot of really bad rehabs, and there is a cabal that runs these rehabs, and they have a vested interest in continuing to shovel you from one place to another that they all own. So they'll start you out at a rehab that's patently absurd, like the ones that Nick Reiner went to on the Michelle and Rob Reiner case. You go in for a 28-day, you know what junkies call that? A spin dry. That's not going to rehab. I want to get my habit down so that I don't have to pay $250 a day for a couple of weeks. I'll go in there, get some benzos so that I don't get dope sick. I knew guys that used to do it every time they got into too much debt with their dealer. And then they would make collect calls from jail, right? Because you go to jail and then you ask for the help. They would go there and make collect calls from jail to their dealer. The dealer goes, screw that, he's in jail. They don't care anymore that you owe them money. It was a hustle. This is the best chat ever. Well, thank you, Real Peppermint Patty. I'm really looking forward to getting that email from you too. That's really cool as hell. Please put in the description what it is, because I get a lot of them. I'm so sorry, Shirley. Shirley said my niece died of heroin. Everybody I know died of heroin. Everybody. And those that didn't died of fentanyl. And again, these weren't homeboys. These weren't people that were brothers, people that I really shared something with. But they were everybody I know. I'm not joking you, everybody, because everyone I knew was a junkie. And fortunately, I was 23 years old. God help us. When I went into prison is when it really started to transfer from heroin onto something a lot nastier. You mean we can't use all caps even for one word in the sentence? That's kind of the point. I mean, to emphasize. I get that, Caroline. This is one of the few things that I'm going to say the word rape. I'm going to say the word child porn. I'm going to say the word gun. I'm going to say all of those things that they say YouTube hates. I usually try to encourage people not to use caps because YouTube hates that too. And it helps me push the video a little bit farther while I keep free speech alive. But I'm certainly not mad at you, and I get it. And we've had people that can't see, and I don't care. We'll lose a little. If you need that to see, that's fine. My brother got clean off of heroin, lost track of how long he'd been off it, but I'm so proud of him. Buffy, I love that. I looked it up, and there are over 120 people named Barbara Waite in the U.S. I'm a dime a dozen. Not for nothing. That's nothing. Look up my birth name. That's nothing. Rookie numbers. Punisher, his son's 7 years sober from heroin. I absolutely love that. 25 years sober. I had that fork in the road moment. Moon and the Raven. I love that. And you know what? What a great way to describe it. You get that fork in the road moment. This is it. This is my time. I talked about this last night, but I went to prison 3 times. And the first time I did dope, partied, ran a sports book. The second time I pretended that I was going to get sober. Still watched TV, still hung out with the boys. And when I went in the third time, I'm not joking, it's a true story. I was on the carpet and I was watching A Bronx Tale. And the kid goes up and says to Sonny, "You're the smartest guy I've ever met." He said, "If I was smart, I wouldn't have gone to prison." And he goes, "How did you get through prison?" He said, "There's only a couple of ways you can get through." He's like, "You can play cards, you can lift weights, or you can cause trouble." And the kid says to him, "What did you do?" He said, "I read books." I got 20 years clean, and I called my dad and I said to him, "I'm not going to watch any TV. I'm not going to do shit. I'm going to read books." And he said to me, "Stick with nonfiction." And I did. And I read everything I could get my hands on. I was a freak. People were probably scared of me because all I did was read. And I got very into it. It was, and you know something crazy? It's a true story, man. The person who, there was a guy in that movie, and I don't want to out him because I'm hated so bad. I don't want him to get hate on his channel. But there was a guy that has a channel who was in that movie, who was a member of the boat for about 2 years and had reached out to me. It was epic. He said, "I heard the story. I love that." I was like, God help us. You want to get clean from heroin, drink some jailhouse toilet wine. God help us. The old Turlet Merlot. Thank you, everyone. This is why I love watching Tommy so much. It all hits home for me. I put you guys on a pedestal. Well, yeah, I don't know that. I don't know it's a place I ought to hang out, but I'm certainly proud as shit that I don't have to get high every day in order to live. Like there are people who have very serious problems, and I'm pulling for them, even if they hate me and call me a rapist. I don't want anybody on drugs. It's heartbreaking to watch someone you love going through this. Please pray for my son, Joel. Thank you. Joy, I will happily do that. And since it's a guy, because I don't do this anymore ever, but since it's a guy, if he'd be willing to get on a phone call with me, send me an email. If he'd be willing to talk to me, I don't talk to women because they will come out in 6 months and say that they'll find a hater and they'll say I sent a picture of me having sex with Squirrel. But if it's a guy, I'd be willing to talk to him. Shirley, I'll be honest with you. There's very little heroin left on planet Earth. Junkies who have been doing the stuff their whole life, they call it Fugazi. They make it look a lot like heroin, but you're right. It's so much cheaper to make it than it is to grow it. It is a labor-intensive process to take the poppy and slit all of the all the pods and then get all of that gunk. You then have to process it. It is heartbreaking to watch someone you love. You know, it's really hard to. And we deserve it. Make no mistake. Someone will leave me a shitty comment about this. They always do. But it's very hard when the realization kicks in. you're sober. Lady, oh, I love that. 5 years. You get to a point where all of a sudden you're sober and you're really starting to live who you are, and you're really starting to come into your head and really start to think, and you go, oh my God, what I did to everybody I loved for 30 years. And for me, it was probably more like 15. Like I said, they didn't know in the beginning. They really didn't. But it's hard. Joy, I mean it. If it was your daughter, I would look like a jerk. I'm not going to talk to a woman. I don't communicate with anybody. You know, the protection of all of the people that they say I'm ripping off. I don't talk to people. Unfortunately, YouTube makes you really gun shy to do that. And that's unfortunate, but it's kind of the truth. My name, Linda Scott. Historical data from the Social Security Administration indicates there are roughly 20 to 25,000 women with this name living in the country. Good Lord. Okay, so you got me beat. My numbers are rookie numbers, but that's pretty heavy. Yeah, you know what, Roberta? I appreciate that. I don't look good on a pedestal anyway, although I got great wheels. All right, people, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I really appreciate you spending an hour and 26 minutes with me, and I'm not going to lie to you. I love the fact that we had more people in our live chat than Aaron Smith Levin did. I'm not going to say anything else about the dude, but excuse me. We all know how much he loves that. The guy's pissed off that he's failing, and the people that he hates are winning. Hashtag winning. By the way, Johnny, you're awesome as well. Wish you would do more videos. It's funny you say that. I mentioned the book Chameleon in the Shadow of Death. My uncle ordered 2 books for us to read together. He really wanted me to learn about Mr. H. Spymaster and Assassin. A great read. I love it when people recommend books. I have not gotten it yet. It's a little bit more difficult. The books down here are, most of them are in Spanish, and I just haven't gotten that far along yet. But I do want to thank all of you. Take care of your Reese. Oh, I promise you. I'm fond as hell of her. If you've never gone over and hit subscribe at Relatable Reese, you should, because the amount of hate that they're going to be bringing her way in the next 4 or 5 days, make no mistake, as much as this low-life douche nozzle hates me, he did that to hurt Reese. You know what, you hypocrite bastard? Take down all the videos I did with you that are paying you big money. Bet you don't do that. Not that much of a bad guy, huh? You low-life. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, put a smile on your face. And you know what? Don't worry about me, peeps. I promise you, I will get by. Da-da-da-da-da. Anybody get that? I'll see you on the next one. I'm Tommy. God bless and have a great night. Thank you.